If there's an epitaph for N'Golo Kante's time at Chelsea, it has to be a Twitter post from the official Manchester City account during the 2021 Champions League final. The Blues, under Thomas Tuchel, led the match 1-0, and the tweet simply read, 53, no changes at the break and little chances so far this half. Kante has been everywhere all game. If we can bypass him, we might be in business. In the end, City could not bypass him, just as anybody could when he was at his best and firing. The Frenchman is set to leave the London club to end his career in Saudi Arabia, and he leaves having won back-to-back Premier League titles, one which was with Leicester City, the FA Cup, Europa League, the UEFA Super Cup, the Club World Cup, and the crown of the jewel, the Champions League. The Frenchman was named man of the match in the final against City, just as he had been in both games against Real Madrid in the semi-finals and in the second leg of the quarter-finals against Atletico Madrid. Back in 2017, Pep Guardiola called Tottenham the Harry Kane team, but during the 2021 Champions League run, Chelsea were very much a N'Golo Kante team, and clearly the $30 million Chelsea spent to sign the midfielder in the summer of 2016 will go down as one of the best pieces of business in the club's history. Not only has he been the club's one truly world-class player, he has been the most popular player at the club and across the globe. Still at the age of 32 though, the midfielder had some years inside of him at the top level, and no one thought he was close to quitting the club, let alone Europe. So why exactly did he choose to leave? For starters, Kante, who was in his final year of his current deal at Chelsea, rejected the club's new 2-year contract offer with an option of another year in October 2022. The player wanted a 3-year deal with an option of a fourth, which the club was unwilling to offer, and it has remained so since. The club is known not to offer huge contracts to players above 30, and Kante's position was made worse with the recurrent injuries he faced over the last 2 seasons. When fully fit and firing, there is no better box-to-box midfielder on the planet than Kante. No player in world football covers ground as intelligently and efficiently as the pint-sized Frenchman, and none can combine such relentless work off the ball with equally important quality on it. Unfortunately, the man from Paris has struggled to remain fit in recent times. In 2022-23 season, for instance, the Frenchman failed to hit full stride due to a frustrating series of knocks and niggles, missing 16 games in total that season as the Blues faltered in the Premier League and failed to retain their Champions League crown. Then came the recently concluded season. Kante had only racked up 175 minutes of action before the hamstring problem first arose during a 2-2 draw against Tottenham in August. He underwent surgery and missed the World Cup in Qatar, and by the time he returned to action in March, he had played just under 3 hours of football over the last 7 months. With the recurrent injuries, and now in the twilight of his career, it could have been a struggle for Kante to ever return to the lofty heights of 2021 Champions League winning form, and it perhaps made it hard to justify renewing his £15 million a year wages. The club's dilemma was perhaps, and rightly so, what if the Frenchman never gets back to his best after renewing his contract, or even more concurringly, what if another big injury hits again? It could have been a huge risk for Chelsea to take, especially given the number of young players who could replace him, and clearly it was a gamble they were not willing to take. A minor injury in training ahead of Chelsea clash with Nottingham Forest meant the midfielder missed the remainder of the season, and perhaps vindicated the top chief's decision not to offer the Frenchman a longer contract because of his recent injury struggles. Outside Chelsea, the Frenchman represented the utopia football world. He was, and perhaps still remains, the nicest, modest, and most humble footballer in the history of the beautiful game. Nothing exemplifies this more than his Mini Cooper story. With his huge wages at Stamford Bridge, Kante could easily afford top-of-the-range, mega-expensive luxury supercar, but instead, he chose to go for a £20,000 Mini Cooper, which he bought when he joined Leicester. He had it shipped back to France when he moved to Stamford Bridge, and interestingly, bought an identical one, refusing to upgrade despite pressure from his Stamford Bridge teammates. This is the same man who was too shy to lift the World Cup trophy despite being instrumental in France's win, until he was pushed to the podium by French teammate Steven Nzonzi. Maybe France could have stood a better chance of retaining their World Cup title if they had Kante in the team in Qatar, and it's even sadder to imagine he might have played his last World Cup, considering the next edition would come beyond his 35th birthday, and considering the young talented players in France, he might not get a chance. His impending move to Saudi Arabia will bring down the curtains of his hugely successful stint in England. Al-Ittihad, with whom Kante is set to sign a contract with, view the Frenchman as a perfect Muslim role model, one they would very much be happy to have in their side, alongside former Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema. It will be a statement win for Saudi Arabia, who are offering incentives to help grow their league. For Kante, the move represents one more chance to secure the proverbial bag as he rides into the sunset of his career. He is set to bag a whopping £172.1 million over a 2-year period in the Arabic country. When all is said and done, N'Golo Kante will leave Chelsea as one of the greats ever. He will be sorely missed by not only Chelsea fans, but the Premier League at large. In the eyes of many, if not all Chelsea fans, he will always be a club legend. Their only regret is not seeing the shy midfielder get a proper send-off that he fully deserved.